The station woke him with a polite vibration through the floor, a gentle reminder that artificial gravity recalibration had finished and that anyone still floating was officially late. He opened his eyes to the soft glow of the ceiling panels and wondered, not for the first time, how he had ended up 6 light-years from Earth because he once checked a box labeled intercultural communication aptitude. The station AI cleared its synthetic throat inside his skull implant and informed him that his heart rate suggested mild dread, which it helpfully defined as an expected emotional response to new social environments. He told it to stop psychoanalyzing him before breakfast. It apologized, then apologized for apologizing too much, and then fell silent out of embarrassment. By the time he reached the linguistics wing, the corridor was busy with species he still couldn't identify without subtitles. There were beings made of refracted light arguing with a wheeled creature over corridor right-of-way, and a trio of interns in pressure suits chasing a runaway service drone that had decided it was finally time to see the universe. He stepped around all of it, clutching his tablet, repeating the same reminder his supervisor had given him on day 1. Speak slowly, avoid metaphors, and never assume affection translates cleanly across cultures. He remembered this advice clearly, right up until the moment he met her. She was already waiting in the translation chamber, seated with her legs folded neatly beneath her, posture relaxed but attentive. At first glance, she looked human enough to lull his brain into a false sense of familiarity. Then her ears shifted, long and elegant, tapering upward and outward in a way no human anatomy textbook had ever prepared him for. They moved as if listening to things the rest of the room couldn't hear. When she smiled at him, one ear tilted forward slightly, like it was leaning into the expression. "You're late," she said, and the universal translator rendered it perfectly, though it added a footnote he could only see on his tablet. Statement delivered with playful warmth, not accusation. "The station tried to psychoanalyze me again," he said. "I had to set boundaries." She laughed, a sound light enough to make the translator hesitate before labeling it. "Your machines have poor emotional discipline," she said. "They speak too much." "You should meet my family," he replied before thinking. He winced, waiting for the translator to flag something catastrophic, but it stayed reassuringly green. They were assigned to review conversational samples from her culture, a routine exercise meant to help refine cross-species nuance. It involved listening to recorded dialogues while the AI projected contextual data into the room. Every few minutes, she paused the playback to explain something that didn't quite survive translation. A shift in tone that indicated irony, a pause that meant affection, a repetition that transformed a sentence into a promise. He listened, fascinated, occasionally confused, occasionally amused. "In your language," she said at one point, "you say kind things very freely." "We do," he said. "It's how we grease the social gears." She tilted her head. "Grease? Ugh. Metaphor, sorry." "No, I like it," she said. "It sounds messy." As the hours passed, the formality dissolved into something easier. He told her about Earth foods that confused aliens during trade summits. She told him about her people's long-standing ban on casual compliments after what she called the incident, which the translator summarized as a mass societal reorganization following widespread emotional commitments. He laughed, assuming exaggeration, and she watched him with quiet curiosity, ears flicking in patterns he didn't yet understand. When the session ended, neither of them moved right away. The station lights dimmed slightly, signaling a shift in energy cycles. He realized he'd enjoyed himself more than he had in weeks. "You're very kind," he said, gathering his things. "Talking to you feels easy. I really like that." Her ears lifted, then stilled. She looked at him for a long moment, expression unreadable to someone without a cultural guide. The translator hesitated, then displayed nothing at all. "I am glad," she said finally. "Your words are warm." "They're just words," he said, smiling, unaware of the way the room's recording system quietly archived the moment. She smiled back, and this time both ears leaned forward together. Later, as he walked back through the corridor, the station AI reactivated. "For your information," it said carefully, Several high-priority cultural flags were raised during your last interaction. Was it the Grease metaphor? He asked. No, the AI said. It was the affection markers, but don't worry, probability of significant consequence remains low. He nodded, reassured, and failed to notice the addendum scrolling quietly beneath the main display. Definition of low varies by species. On the other side of the station, the alien woman stood alone in the chamber, placing her hand against a crystalline interface embedded in the wall. Light rippled outward as her words, recorded and verified, joined a lineage of spoken truths older than her civilization's stars. He spoke with sincerity, she said softly. Let it be remembered. He learned about his engagement from a beverage dispenser. It started innocently enough. He approached the dispenser with the specific craving for something that tasted like coffee, but didn't legally qualify as coffee in 3-star systems. The screen flickered, scanned his biometrics, and chirped in a tone usually reserved for birthdays and mild promotions. Congratulations, it said. He frowned. On. The dispenser displayed a soft swirl of celebratory particles. On your upcoming bonded union. Would you like to try the Partner Harmony blend? It is statistically enjoyed by 82% of newly declared couples. I'm not. He stopped, blinked, and leaned closer to the screen. What? Clarification, the dispenser continued cheerfully. Your social status has been updated within station-wide cultural registries. Marital trajectory, confirmed. Would you prefer something warm or emotionally supportive? He stared at it long enough that a maintenance drone paused nearby, angled its sensor cluster at him, and then slowly backed away as if he might explode. This is a mistake, he said. I need caffeine, not life-altering misinformation. The dispenser dimmed slightly, a universal sign of sympathy. Misinformation probability, 0.7%. Congratulations again. He walked away without a drink, which in retrospect should have been his first clue that the situation was serious. By the time he reached the linguistics wing, the rumors had already arrived before him. Conversations stopped when he entered. A gelatinous being bowed deeply. A human intern gave him a thumbs-up that looked more like a condolence gesture. His supervisor's door slid open the moment he approached, as if it had been waiting. Inside, the supervisor sat rigidly, hands folded, expression carefully neutral. Floating beside her was a compact hologram displaying layers of legal text, cultural symbols, and one very clear icon of 2 figures standing beneath a shared arc of light. Sit, she said. Am I in trouble? He asked, sitting anyway. No, she said. You're in love. I really don't think. You declared sincere affection to a Virelian citizen, she continued, voice tight. Your words were recorded, verified, and entered into their ancestral vow lattice. I said I liked talking to her. Yes, she said. You liked it sincerely. He waited for the punchline. None arrived. She sighed. In their culture, spoken sincerity directed at an individual establishes intent. Intent establishes obligation. Obligation establishes, she gestured at the hologram. That's marriage, he said weakly. That's courtship, she corrected. Marriage comes later with more light. He put his head in his hands. I didn't agree to anything. You agreed by meaning it. That's not how words work, he said. We say things we mean all the time without meaning them forever. She gave him a look, usually reserved for explaining gravity to children. Yes, that's why this is a problem. There was a chime at the door. Before either of them could respond, it slid open. She stood there, calm as ever, ears lifted in what he was beginning to suspect was happiness. She carried a small container that hummed softly, light pulsing within it like a slow heartbeat. There you are, she said. I hoped you would be here. His supervisor made a strangled noise and abruptly found a reason to be very interested in her desk. He stood. Hi. You left before our conversation was complete, she said gently. I wish to confirm that you were well. I'm great, he said, voice cracking. Never better, just got congratulated by a machine. She smiled. One ear flicked forward. Ah, the announcement has propagated efficiently then. The what? She stepped closer, placing the container on the table. The hum deepened, resonating faintly in his chest. This holds the echo of your words, she said. preserved as tradition requires. They were very clear. I was being nice, he said. I was polite, friendly. Yes, she said, you were. That's all. She tilted her head. Why would one be sincerely affectionate without purpose? He opened his mouth, closed it, tried again. Because it feels good. Her ears twitched, a movement the translator struggled with before labeling it fond amusement. Then I am glad, she said, that it felt good. His supervisor stood abruptly. I'm going to get cultural mediation, she said, and possibly a stiff drink. When the door closed, silence settled between them, broken only by the hum of the container. I didn't know, he said finally. If I had known, I wouldn't have said it like that. She studied him carefully. Would you have said it differently? I would have qualified it, he said. Added disclaimers, jokes. She said. You would have weakened it. Yes. She considered this. That would have changed its truth. He laughed, a short, stressed sound. You're telling me I accidentally proposed because I didn't hedge my emotions. You did not ask, she corrected. You declared. That's worse. She smiled again, softer this time. You are distressed. A little. She slid the container toward him. Then perhaps humor will help. In my culture, when tension rises, we recount errors of greater consequence. Like what? He asked. She thought. Once an elder declared admiration for a moon. He blinked. A moon. Yes, it was very luminous. And so we attempted to marry it. He stared at her. It did not reciprocate, she added. The paperwork was extensive. Despite himself, he laughed. The sound echoed strangely in the room, easing something tight in his chest. I don't know what to do, he admitted. You do not need to decide yet, she said. The bond is acknowledged, not enforced. Choice still matters. That's reassuring. She nodded. Affection without willingness becomes meaningless. Our laws recognize that. He exhaled slowly. So I'm not trapped. No, she said. But you are seen. That landed heavier than he expected. A chime echoed through the room as the station AI announced a scheduled cultural briefing. Her ears flicked in mild annoyance. They will make jokes, she said. Some will be unkind. I'm already the guy who married a moon in spirit, he said. I can handle it. She laughed, genuinely this time, and the container's hum brightened in response. Come, she said. We should attend together, it would be appropriate. He hesitated, then nodded. Okay, but for the record, I'm still confused. She smiled, walking beside him toward the door. So is love, she said, across all known species. As they stepped into the corridor, the station lights shifted subtly, recalibrating not for gravity this time, but for a newly recognized pair moving through shared space. The briefing room was fuller than he had ever seen it, which felt unfair considering the topic was technically his feelings. Representatives from at least 9 species occupied the tiered seats, along with 3 station AIs projected as softly glowing geometries that pulsed when they disagreed with something. He sat beside her at the central table, hands folded, trying not to fidget while the room settled into a low hum of anticipation. Someone passed him a data slate labeled Emotional Incident Resolution Packet, version 47B, and he decided not to open it for his own mental health. The chief mediator cleared their throat, a sound that came out as a harmonic chord. We are here to resolve a cross-cultural sincerity entanglement, they announced, and to determine whether it results in a consensual future trajectory. That makes it sound like a traffic accident, he muttered. She leaned slightly toward him. In fairness, it often is. A few beings chuckled, apparently having excellent hearing. The mediator gestured toward him. You may speak first. He looked around, suddenly aware of how many eyes, sensors, and empathic fields were focused on him. I didn't mean to propose, he said plainly. I meant what I said, but I didn't mean it the way it was taken. Several heads nodded. One AI pulsed amber. And what did you mean? The mediator asked. He hesitated, then decided partial honesty had already gotten him into this mess. I meant that I felt comfortable, seen. That talking to her made the station feel less metal. She smiled faintly, ears lifting. The mediator turned to her. And you? I heard intention, she said calmly. Warmth without deceit. In my culture, that is rare and precious. I accepted it. So you assumed permanence, the mediator said. I assumed sincerity, she replied. Permanence is something we discuss. There was a pause while the AIs exchanged silent calculations. One projected a probability arc that wobbled uncertainly. The mediator inclined their head. Then the question is not whether the words were spoken, but whether the future they suggest is desired by both. All eyes returned to him. He swallowed. I didn't think I was ready for all of this, he admitted. But this experience has forced me to actually examine what I say and why I say it. Where I come from, words are cheap. We use them to fill space. Here they matter. She watched him closely, expression unreadable, ears still. I don't want to hurt you, he continued. And I don't want to lie, so I need time to understand what I feel when I'm not joking my way out of discomfort. A low murmur passed through the room. She nodded slowly. Time is acceptable, choice is essential. The mediator raised a hand. Then we will initiate a voluntary reflection interval. The bond remains acknowledged but unsealed. The room relaxed almost immediately. Someone applauded. Someone else released a cloud of celebratory spores that security quickly vacuumed up. As the crowd dispersed, she turned to him. You spoke well. I panicked honestly, he said. Apparently that's my brand now. She smiled. It suits you. Over the following cycles, life shifted into something quieter and more deliberate. They continued to meet, though now every conversation carried a new awareness. He noticed how often he used humor to deflect, how quickly he softened statements to avoid responsibility. She noticed, too, occasionally raising an eyebrow or the Virelian equivalent when he dodged sincerity. Do not weaken your truth for my comfort, she told him once. I can handle clarity. And I'm learning I can too, he replied, surprising himself. They shared meals synthesized from compromise recipes that confused both of them. They attended cultural exchanges, where he learned that her people used jokes sparingly, but devastatingly. And she learned that humans used jokes like oxygen masks. They argued gently about nothing and seriously about everything. Through it all, the bond container remained dormant between them, humming softly, waiting. One evening, as the station drifted through a quiet region of space where even the stars seemed hesitant, he found himself staring at the container. I think I'm afraid, he said suddenly. She looked up. Of me. Of meaning things, he said. Because meaning them means being accountable to them. She considered this. Yes, she said, that is the point. He laughed softly. You're terrifying. She laughed back. You are refreshingly honest. He took a breath. I don't know what our future looks like, but I know I don't want to pretend this didn't matter. Her ears lifted fully now, the gesture unmistakable. Then speak. He placed his hand on the container. It warmed beneath his palm. I choose to continue, he said. With awareness, with intention. Not because I'm trapped, but because I want to see where this leads. The light within the container flared, then settled into a steady glow. She placed her hand over his. Then we proceed, she said, together. The station AI chimed softly in the background, updating registries, adjusting probabilities, and just this once, saying nothing at all. As they stood there, not married, not unbound, but deliberately present, he realized something had changed. He no longer feared the weight of words. He welcomed it. And somewhere in the vast, indifferent universe, sincerity found a place to belong.